you're so good. I'm sorry, that probably really hurt your brain. That was pretty intense, wasn't it?
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be riding Tarek in my barefoot physio ride on pad for the first time. You guys have been asking me how it's going. I actually haven't ridden in it yet, just because Tarek lost a little bit of weight at the end of winter, and so I thought I'd give him a couple more weeks off just to sort of build that condition back on and get his top line a little bit better. And today I wasn't sure if I was going to ride him because when I pulled him in from the paddock, he was covered in ticks. So that's why he's so itchy right now, because I pulled off about 4 on his chest. I reckon I pulled out probably 20 ticks in total, even though I'm putting Pomoxin on him. So the ticks that we get here in Australia, they're called paralysis ticks because they will paralyze you, paralyze small animals. So if a dog or a cat gets even one, they're dead. They are DED, dead. Horses are generally, because they're bigger, they're not as affected by them. Aragon doesn't get them, so whatever his body is doing, whatever antibodies his body is producing, great, working great. Tarek, for some reason, he's not working up the antibodies for them, and so he's just getting bombarded by them. And he's got quite a lot of swelling, so he just gets, horses generally just get localized swelling in the areas, so he's got quite a lot of swelling like sort of in his groin and stuff, and so I wasn't sure if I was going to work him. So I was working Aragon, and then Tarek seemed really keen to come in and do some stuff, so I thought, all right, we'll just see how we go, just judge him moment by moment and just see what he's comfortable with. So before I jump on to ride him, I always want to check that he's responsive to my cues. Because of, like, you know, his skin irritation, I don't want to, like, do too much physical work with him today. I literally just want to check that he's responsive, he's listening to my cues, he's looking to me for direction. And I'm doing on the ground what I'm expecting in the saddle, so I just want a relaxed, slow walk with a lot of head down. So that's just what I'm asking for on the ground, just to kind of get him into that sort of mindset of thinking about that and offering that for me. So when I get in the saddle, that's on the forefront of his mind. Alrighty, and then when it comes time to riding, the first thing I ask him to do, and this is a cue that's like, the cue is me stepping up into the mounting block or getting ready to mount, is I wanted to put his head down. And if he doesn't put his head down, then I know that he's not ready for me to mount. So it's something that we did really early on, and I call it consent work. I get a lot of questions from people being like, but do horses really understand consent? Look, I don't know. And there's not really any way that we can know. We don't have the research yet, but a horse does understand antecedent behavior and consequence. So he knows that when he puts his head down, that's the antecedent for me to get on his back, and then the consequence is a reward, but I'm also on his back. So they do understand putting 2 and 2 together and understand it in that context. So he knows that if he doesn't put his head down, I don't get on his back. So in that way, he does have some sort of control. Look, is it consent? I don't know, but to me, it's the best that we've got at the moment, and it works for us, it works for him, it helps him, giving him some choice helps with his fear, especially in the early days, because everything was scary for him, and now it's just part of our communication. So when I first get on, the first thing I ask him to do is just put his head down. Again, well, I don't ask. I want that to be an automatic thing. I did start by asking in the early days, but now it's just a thing. And then to walk forward, my cue is still just a verbal cue. So it's with my tongue, and that's, you'll hear me, you would have heard me doing that as well when I was lunging him. So I click with my tongue, and he has to step forward. As you can see, we haven't done this for a while, okay? It's been a couple weeks, and he's only had a few rides under his belt. So he's like, got a little bit confused. I don't know why he decided that he had to just keep disengaging. But that's okay. I'm just going to keep asking him and just wait. I don't punish him. I'm not putting on any extra cues. I'm just waiting. And I'm just going to take whatever I can get. So there, he stepped a couple of feet forward rather than in a circle and disengaging. Great. I'm going to reward and click that. So that's giving you information, being like, yep, that's the thing that I want. Remember, we've done this before. Because when you are learning, you're going to make mistakes. Obviously, we don't want our horses to make a lot of mistakes all the time. Then we need to go back and reassess our training plan. But it is okay for a horse to sometimes make mistakes, especially if they haven't done something for a little while. So as you can see, he now gets the idea that you just need to walk forward. And because he's new to riding, at the moment, I'm just letting him choose the direction, okay? Especially at the start of the session, I'm just letting him choose the direction. I just want forward movement. That's all I care about right now. Forward movement. And you'll see here, he does start to do the weird disengaging again. I think it was because I cued him to walk on as his head is turned around. See that? And I think he took that as information that I want him to go in that direction, because he's always trying to do so much. Like he's really is like a type A horse, I reckon, because he's just always overthinking, always trying to do like the maximum thing, and sometimes that he overthinks things, and the thing that I want is actually the simple thing. But that's all right because we figured it out. Again, I just waited to see until he gave me something else. I didn't punish him. I didn't change my cues. I just kept asking, and I just rewarded when he did the thing that I want. And that gave him the information that he needed to be like, oh, all right, gotcha. We're just moving forward. Cool, got it. I like to go slow when we're learning and give him lots of time to think. As you can see, he's very responsive to my verbal cue to walk on, which is awesome. That's exactly what I want. And the little nickers that he gives me, that definitely gives me feedback that he's understanding what it is that I'm asking and wanting, and that he's happy to do it and willing to do it. Here, we haven't actually worked on our brakes. So I was like, I wonder what happens if we work on our brakes. So I just did that and that's why I'm pulling on him. And it took me a few steps because we haven't actually worked on it before. But because I click and reward, he's like, oh, okay, I just stop when I feel that. Cool, gotcha. Because I'm not really worried about him taking off or anything, but I do know that we have to work on a stop because at the moment our stop is the click, which works great, but that's just because we're in the building stages of the behavior chain. So I do want to start working on some stops. And then because he's doing really well with just like the walking forward, I decided to start doing some turning because we haven't done a lot of turning and steering. Mostly it's just been him walking around. And as you can see, he just wants to keep circling near the gate, which is totally normal. So that's the gate where he comes in. Aragon's over there. All the other horses are over through the gate. So it's pretty normal for a horse to want to do that. So what I'm doing, I'm asking a lot because I'm asking him to turn away from the gate. And the moment that he does, not only do I release, but I also click him. So it's combined reinforcement that I'm doing. And because he did that so well, I'm going to give him a nice big break. Because I want him to really learn that if you listen to me, even though it's not the idea that you want, because his idea is to circle near the gate, my idea is to move away from the gate. But when you do that, really good things happen. Like, I'm going to give you a reward. I'm going to give you a nice big break. You know, I'm really saying thank you. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you for doing that for me. Here's your reward. Here's something good for you. So it's not just me taking, forcing all the time. It's still a communication. So here I'm picking up on the left rein and he turns. So I immediately release, click and reward because he does know the cues. He's done it from the ground, but it's a different behavior when you're doing it in the saddle. And because I'm aware of that, it means that I'm happy to just reward any tiny effort. Because I think in horse training, a lot of the times we have like really high expectations of our horses and we set the bar really high. And we expect our horses to meet that. And when they fail to meet that expectation, we get annoyed, we get irritated, we get frustrated. So by setting the bar really low and just rewarding the second that he does the thing that I want and then building on that, that's how you get a really solid foundation in your horsemanship. So we're walking towards the gate again and I'm asking him to turn with the left rein. I don't know why I accidentally pulled on that rein. I don't know. Sorry. Sometimes I look back at these videos and I'm like, I don't know why now he was getting confused or he was doing this. It's because I was doing something with my hands. Because to be honest, guys, I barely ever ridden bareback. I was only riding for 3 years when I got Tarek and I haven't really ridden since. So this is all challenging for me as well. Trying to figure out my body, what my hands are doing. I'm a bit rusty, okay? So that's why I'm taking it really slow. I'm trying to be hyper aware of what I'm doing to make sure that I'm also giving him the correct cues. And I find that filming sessions and watching it back is the best way to learn and improve on your horsemanship and your riding. So here I'm asking again for him to turn and he turns, perfect, click and reward. Because he's kind of struggling to turn that direction, I'm just going to do a few clicking and rewarding for him just turning his head, right? But as you'll see here, he does start kind of just, yanking his head around.
That's not really what I want.
Which is not exactly what I want. So I'm going to reward that a few times so that he gets the idea of like, yes, we're turning, but it's your whole body that has to move. And see how he's done that. Now he sort of gets it. And so I'm not rewarding it, right? I'm not rewarding that head flicker anymore. But I am rewarding that nice little circle. So see how you can sort of change the things that you're rewarding, but shape their behavior into what you want by choosing what you reward when and how often, and what you don't reward. And that's a skill that you kind of can pick up over time. So if you have a solid understanding of all your four quadrants, it is a skill that you do get through just practicing, experimenting, when trying things. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And not taking it too personally when it doesn't work. Just be like, oh, whoop, that didn't work. Okay, well, let's try something else next time. Or maybe I need to go and get some more help from someone who maybe knows a little bit more than I do. It's not like, oh my God, that didn't work. I'm a terrible person. What have I done? This is never going to work. Because I think a lot of people get put off by positive reinforcement and clicker training because it is hard. It can be hard to learn, and it is very powerful. It is a very powerful method to train your horse. And so you can sometimes accidentally train the wrong things. And then if you have that all or nothing approach, then you go, oh, well, it didn't work for me for this specific thing. So therefore, food doesn't work at all. Where it's like, okay, well, maybe actually it's your technique that maybe needs modifying rather than an issue with the food. But I think it's a lot easier to blame a tool, to blame something external to us, than to actually go inside and be like, hey, maybe I just need some more skills. Maybe I need more knowledge in this area. So here I'm picking up on left flat rein again. He's bracing, he's resisting. The moment he turns, awesome, click, reward, release. This makes it very clear for him to understand what it is that I want, okay? I pick up on the right rein again, and he swings his body around. He gets a bit confused, but when he gets it, great, I stop, reward. And as you can see, maybe you can't see, but if you watch this closely, you will notice that I'm kind of letting him walk a few extra steps than I did at the start with that turn. At the start, I literally just rewarded as soon as he turned. And now I'm kind of asking him to do a few more steps before I actually reward and click and reward. Because again, I'm shaping the behavior. I'm shaping it in the direction that I want to go. I don't want him to just learn that you just turn and then stop, because that's not what the end behavior is. The end behavior is you follow the feel of the rope, of just like when you're on the ground, and when you reach that criteria, which is now following the lead of the rope for a few steps, then you get the click and the reward. But I do go back and do some easy ones as well. So you can't just always continually up your criteria, because your horse will know that every time they do the behavior, it gets harder and harder, and that can make them give up. So you've got to throw in some easy wins in there. And I think I'm pretty good now at choosing when to throw in the easy wins. And I do it when I feel like my horse is going to get the most benefit from it. So it's when they least expect it. When they're expecting it to have the duration or like meeting the certain criteria, I like to click as soon as they do the thing, because then you get that dopamine hit straight away. And that is what is going to be great for your motivation and building it, intrinsic motivation. So here, I noticed that he's got a bit of latency taking retreats, and as we were coming around that corner, he seemed a little bit frustrated, like a little bit like he's getting a bit over it. So I decided to spend some time just doing something really easy, just rewarding for him standing there, relaxed, head down. Again, it's like what I was just saying. If I keep continually upping the criteria, then he's going to get frustrated. He's going to get bored, annoyed of what I'm asking him to do. He's going to be like, well, this isn't fun anymore. This is too hard. So knowing your horse and knowing when to go back to rewarding something like really easy, to give them a break and time to process. And also, this also builds what's called behavioral momentum. So it builds up the motivation, because you're like, okay, just like easy, just like easy, just like easy. And like, oh, this is great. This is great. Great. You're getting the dopamine, you're getting the food, you're getting the reward. They don't have to really do anything too hard. Like head down for him was the first thing he ever learned. So it's highly, highly reinforced over years and years and years. And then it's like, okay, now can we go on and go back to doing something a bit harder? Because we're only walking around. This is really hard for his brain. This is a lot. I'm asking so much from him right now. Am I asking too much? I don't think so. Could I ask less? Probably. But I know my horse, and I know his thresholds and what he's capable of, and I like to push him just that little bit further than what he thinks he can do. So here, he took himself over to the gate without me cueing, and that to me indicates that he just needs a bit of a break. So as you can see, we stand here. This is on 10 times speed, by the way, guys. So we stand here for quite a while, and he just gets to chill out. He just gets to relax. He's just like, oh, you know, process, whatever. And then I'm like, all right, let's ask, do you want to walk on again? And I cue him, and he does it immediately, which is perfect. That's exactly what I want. Okay.
Good.
Again, he got a bit confused with the turning, but we got there in the end.
Very good.
And now I'm going to ask him for a little bit more because being towards the end of the session, so I'm going to try and just see what we can achieve. So I'm asking him to turn away from the gate, but like over in that part of the arena, which is very hard for him because one, there's no horses over there. There's this guy is down in like underneath the arena. There's another house, and I think he was blowing actually. So there's a lot of things going on, and so me asking him to move over here and follow my lead is challenging. So I just want to see if I can do it and just see how he goes. And he is doing it. He's doing it awesome. He's listened. He's not really putting up any sort of fight, because if it gets to you fighting with your horse, you need to stop what you're doing and reassess, because you never want to fight with your horse. And so I'm just going to do some circles away from the gate over in this corner and just reward him when he does that.
Good. Good job.
And I already feel like his steering is getting way better than when it was at the start. Remember at the start when I first got on him and he didn't even walk forward? Now look at us.
Boy.
Over here in the scary part of the arena, just relaxed, walking around. And here I asked him to just walk forward, and he decides to take himself over the poles. And I was like, that's awesome. You didn't have to do that, you know, but you did. So I think it's a great place to end the session.
Brilliant work. You're so good. I'm sorry, that probably really hurt your brain. That was pretty intense, wasn't it? But you did so well.